having 3 classes in a day, right? Tumhara 2 classes every day and OPSC and UPSC training classes. So every day I'm having 3 classes. That is what is the problem is.
Yes, and we are thinking about having it on Saturday and Sundays, and on Saturdays also are having class till 6 o'clock. Like the last week, every day we were having classes till 6 o'clock. Every day.
I'm feeling pity on all of you. इतना classes करने से कुछ नहीं घुसेगा.
नहीं घुस रहा है मैम.
नहीं होगा.
बस क्लास कर रहा है.
See, ME2 का तो खत्म हो गया. Easy questions, ये question I have already discussed with you yesterday. It is easy. It is definitely easy if you would take it with that easiness. Easy question से है. अभी मैं पूछूंगी क्या चल रहा है मार्केट में. Easy question नहीं है. आपके मार्केट के बारे में ध्यान होगा तो easy है ना. अगर मार्केट के बारे में ध्यान नहीं है तो so ME2 paper you have to be watchful. You have to be watchful what is going in and around you. That is ME2 paper. So preparation जरूरत नहीं है ना. Easy question, easy ही है. And इतना easy मैं कैसे करूँ और first part तो MCQ ही दे दिया. इससे easy और क्या करूँ बोलो? First part is MCQ. That means you have nothing to write. Only tick mark, correct answer. और कितना easy करूँ बोलो?
मैम correct answer बता दो ना.
Rishabh, you want to take out my job? Even if not a part of job, but there is something called as ethics. Ethics is not only for course. Ethics is there inbuilt. Answer बता दो क्या? अभी तक तुम थोड़े से अगर smart होंगे ना, indirectly I have given enough hints. Enough. Throughout the sessions, थोड़ा सा intelligent, थोड़ा सा smart हो गए तो पता चल जाएगा क्या question है, क्या pattern है. But if you are attentive, if you are not, so Rishabh is not attending ethics class on Friday. आंसर दे देती हूँ, क्वेश्चन नहीं देती हूँ, चलेगा? बट वो भी नहीं कर पाओगे. कौन सा आंसर कौन सा क्वेश्चन का है? Then again there will be confused. So many answers, but where to fit? Rishabh?
नहीं मैम, दोनों साथ में दोनों.
He wants question with answer. कौन से institution में?
He wants everything on the plate.
Yes. फिर भी हाँ. After exam I'll give everything. So 9-10 coming. Tomorrow evening after 6 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
Will it possible? All the 3 groups, please complete. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock, I will be traveling to home. Okay, we'll start with 6:30.
Okay, ma'am. From 6:30, we will do the presentation.
Same link you join.
Yes,
Class link. Okay, all the 3 groups. Bhaskar, please make it sure that whatever remaining presentations are there, it should be complete. Everybody should be there. Huh?
Yes, ma'am. I will inform all the 3 groups to join and give the presentation.
Group number 9, 10, which are offline, they and your 13. These 3.
So all the offline and online together will be giving the presentation.
Yes, because see, project part was already given before your reshuffling, right? So there is no difference between offline and online. Project part is one. So I'm not going to go to class to take their presentation. जो लोग offline में हैं.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, group 3 is some students are offline, so we couldn't do the presentation.
अभी तुम बोल रहे हो group 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you when I was asking 14th March से, right?
Ma'am,
From
first
14th
time.
March today is, listen, 14th March आज कितना हो गया? 5th April. 14th March to 5th April, group number 3, you didn't get time. After telling only, you are saying we are not done. Why?
No, ma'am. Actually, on first day we couldn't do the presentation, and after that we are ready for the presentation.
I could not see your readiness. Sorry then.
Ma'am, our CR contact you regarding this for the presentation.
Yes, ma'am. The mismatch which happened between us, like the 4 o'clock presentation, which was again shifted. That one she was talking about.
Wednesday 6:30, right?
Yes.
No more discussion.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you, ma'am.
After that, no more extension.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yesterday we had done with our qualitative and the quantitative tools as far as the working of monetary policy is concerned. But as you know that monetary policy does not rule or does not functions. It has to go hand in hand with another very interesting and very evident prominent tool, which you call it as your fiscal policy. And I have shared the video on fiscal policy yesterday itself in the Google Classroom. Those who have gone through it will be easier to take it up. So as you can see, two diversion paths on your ways, right? One is taxes and spending. So when you talk about fiscal policy or fiscal mechanism, these are the major two tools. In monetary policy, you have taken up the major tools as your repos, reverse repos, CRR, SLR, OMO, which are the quantitative tools, right? Similarly, you had your qualitative tools also, which were your rationing, moral suasion, margin requirement, and direct action. Direct action koi bhulega nahi. So ultimate weapon of RBI. So besides all those monetary policy tools, there are certain fiscal policy tools which are objective is the same. The objective of monetary policy, which was coined out in order to create stability. When you are talking about stability, it is price stability, economic stability, bringing stability in the growth, employment. So you are talking about overall stability in the economy. So it is not only the job of central bank, but majorly what you find government has a very important role. Yesterday, someone was asking that is it that the monetary policy are self-sufficient to control any kind of economic disorder? The answer is completely no. Monetary policy themselves only are not self-sufficient. There has to be a proper alignment of both monetary as well as fiscal policy. So both policies need to go hand in hand in order to control any form of economic disorder, provided the economic disorder can be permissible and can be done. But as you see, the economic disorders like war, pandemic, which are completely beyond the control of human interface, right? So these kind of situations, it will take a huge amount of toll, both on the monetary as well as on the fiscal powers. So like that, fiscal policy, what does this mean? Ashish, have you gone through the video? How
No,
many of you
ma'am.
have gone through the video? At least time mila? Chandita, Aliva, Sunit. Yeah, Chandita, Aritra. Good. Only 4. Shivani. Yeah, Chandita.
Yes,
What is
ma'am.
your understanding on fiscal policy?
Ma'am, fiscal policy is a government expenditure.
Only government expenditure? What does
Ma'am,
fiscal
to achieve
policy
a particular economic goal, such as low unemployment, price stability.
Okay, वो तो objective है. But what is fiscal policy? What is your understanding on fiscal policy? Okay, I will come to you, Aritra.
Yes,
Aritra.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
You're audible.
Ma'am, by fiscal policy, we mean that the measures that are employed by the government to stabilize the economy, like manipulating the levels of or the allocation of taxes and government expenditures.
Okay, one more thing. Don't use the word manipulation. Okay, manipulation is a wrong way of presentation. They are not manipulating taxes and all that. So to present it in a better way, adjustment you can see. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
adjustment
Adjusting.
with taxes, revenues, debt mechanism. Yeah, Shivani. Shivani.
We can say that fiscal policy is an estimate of taxation and government spendings that impacts the economy.
Okay. Aliva.
Fiscal policy is the changes made in the expenditure and taxes so that we can achieve a certain economic goal, like for example, low unemployment rate, then education to a proper level, like that.
Shantanu.
Ma'am, it is the monetary policy adopted by the government to
Monetary policy, fiscal policy बोल रहे हो, monetary policy बोल रहे
Sorry,
हो.
ma'am.
Fiscal policy. हाँ,
Yes,
fiscal
ma'am.
policy.
Adopted by the government to control the spending, taxation to maintain a sustainable economic growth and to reduce poverty.
सब objective बोल रहे हो. What is fiscal policy? I'm not getting that. What is your understanding on fiscal policy? जैसे monetary policy, you're saying the policy made by your monetary policy and committee, those who are coming up with their instruments to control economic disorder. Similarly, fiscal policy, what does that include?
Ma'am, fiscal policy is a policy employed by the government to adjust the economic stability to adjust the economic stability by either raising or reducing the taxes or cutting or employing the further government expenditures to make the economy more stable and keep a stabilized growth in the economy.
Okay. Okay. Aditi. Aditi.
Ma'am, according, I would say that it is basically the.
Aditi, can I see you? First time you are interacting. Aditi, yeah. आधे जन को मैं देखी भी नहीं हूँ क्लास में. That is what is the misery of an online instructor.
Ma'am, basically, fiscal policy in this, it is government tries to manage the economy by either reducing or increasing the tax so that balance can be maintained or stabilization can be maintained in the economy.
Okay. Itishri, yes. Itishri Parida.
Ma'am, we can say fiscal policy as the government decides like how much it should spend to support our economic activity, or like how much revenue it must earn from the system to keep going the economy running smoothly.
Anyone else want to add on?
Fiscal policy is a trade-off between the government expenditure and revenue collection, so that they can maintain economic balance and so that they can get economic growth and stability out of it.
Okay, good. So this picture very clearly evidence trade-off. Yeah, Piyush.
Yes, ma'am. Fiscal policy is the changes in government expenditures or tax, you can say, to achieve economic goals. Economic goals like such as like price stability, economic growth, and low unemployment, etc.
Okay, okay. So more or less whatever all of you have stated is correct. But when you are dealing with fisc, this word fiscal policy is a derivation of word called as. And fisc is what? Fisc is nothing but it is the treasury. Government's treasury is known as fisc. Every individual have a treasury at their own home. You have a chef, you have a wallet.
Yes, ma'am.
Your own securities are there. So similarly, government also has its own treasury. It is not only the central government, but the state government. Sabka alag-alag fiscal policy hai. You will be seeing that the government fiscal policy is derived during the economic survey before it is laid out. Odisha budget, it is done usually in the month of March, right? Your union budget is held in the month of 1st of February. Odisha budget is held in the month of March. So in these two budgets, what they take care of? Respective government take care of their fisc. See, from the fisc, when you are saying fiscal policy, it is just a management between, suppose, ₹1 from where it is coming, and that ₹1 where it is going. If you understand these two things, you have understood fiscal policy. Smallest of smallest denomination, where is that ₹1 coming from to the treasury of the government? Either it is state treasury or the central treasury. And where is that ₹1 going? So the sources of coming are what? The sources of coming, you will consider it as your revenue.
Yes, tax, ma'am, by taxation.
There are many sources. Tax is a major source. Investment is a major source. Using of disinvestment strategies is also a source of revenue, right? So whatever sources you are taking up through which ₹1 will come to the treasury, and whatever sources you think that ₹1 is going for spending. So it is in that sense. Thank you, ma'am. Class. Sorry. There was a. So when you're saying there is a kind of, sorry, what do I say? From when the ₹1 is coming from and where it is going. So whatever are the sources of expenditure, that will be considered as the sources of going. So once you understand the entire functioning, that how do the treasury operates. For an individual, you look into the various sources which will fill your pocket. Similarly, you also look into your various expenses. So for a government also, government or a country, it also has to take care of that what are the sources of its revenue generation, be it the revenue can be from the current side, the revenue can be from the capital side, isn't it? I can earn income revenue for the government from the current sources. So what are the current sources? Your tax. Tax is a current source where it is income is coming. Non-tax. There are certain non-tax revenue like fine, fine collection,
Dividends.
Toll booth.
toll booth. Okay, the taxes collected through toll booth. So apart from your tax revenue, government also earns a huge amount of income from the non-tax revenue, right? So non-tax are what? Non-tax are like the income which is earned through fine collection, through amortization, through escheats. I will come to all those things. What are those non-tax sources? So this is the current. Capital side maybe when there is disinvestment. Air India there was a planning for disinvestment of Air India. So that income will be popped up where? It will be popped up in the revenue side of capital expenditure, capital earning. Similarly, expenditure side may be, you have two. One is your current expenditure, another is your capital expenditure. So current means again all your recurring expenses, making the salary payments. So making investment in the current asset, which are continuous in nature, which an economy requires. Capital are what? Capital are the investment which are making either on construction of road, building, infrastructure, which requires time, right? So that is the capital expenditure. So fiscal policy overall is just a kind of trade-off. Yes, the word trade-off is important because you are trying to make a balance between your this side and this side. And whenever there is a imbalance between this side and this side, you have what? You have a deficit or a surplus.
Fiscal deficit.
Okay, we'll come to the term, either it is fiscal deficit or it is something else. Okay, so there are different types of deficit. We'll learn about the types of deficit. Again, very often there is a confusion between fiscal deficit and budgetary deficit. Okay, so what does that mean? And how do the government or the economy takes care of that? So that is what is dealing with fiscal policy. So ye central government ka is a kind of adjustment like that. Every state government, whatever respective states you belong to, either it is West Bengal, Odisha, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, whatever state, every state runs with its own state fiscal policy because they have your state budget, and state budget makes an allocation of all those revenue as well as the expenses, right? So Kaushik Basu, who is the former economic advisor, very evidently he has defined fiscal policy is something which deals with taxation, expenditure decision of the government, which includes tax policy, expenditure policy, investment policy, disinvestment strategies, and dealing with debt and surplus management, right? So taking all this together, that is what is called as the fisc. Okay. Maybe the definition you would have crammed up, but if you understand from this perspective, no need of cramming up definition. You can have your own definition. No need to always point out borrowed definition. If you have understood, you can put up your own definition of fiscal policy, and you are referring to the economist treasury because the word is fisc. FISC, fisc. And the basic objective is to achieve our various macroeconomic goals. So macroeconomic goals, which we stated in terms of attaining price stability, economic stability, ensuring employment, having a fuller utility of production. So that is what you are trying to achieve, the various macroeconomic goals, right? So in this case, government runs various programs. Some programs are done deliberately. See, knowingly, at certain point of time, you might have noticed, if you have clearly have a watch over the government functioning, knowingly they increase prices at some times. Knowingly they increase the tax collection. So that is what is a deliberate actions. During COVID time, when people were not listening in terms of wearing mask, what did government do? It imposed fine. So that was a deliberate action. And through imposing fines, no doubt that fisc has filled up, government treasury has filled up. But in addition to that, what has happened? In addition to that, what we saw, more than 1.3 billion population, was it an easy task to control? So unless and until you impose a restriction, you imposed a strong action of imposing a fine, people don't understand. People are not aware about having their own sense of responsibility. So in order to make people aware about responsibility, sometimes it is bound on the part of government to take deliberate actions. Knowingly they do that. So that is again a power of fisc. Sometimes certain actions are automatic in nature. Automatic in the nature, this system may you have put it automatically. When you jump into that position, then by default, like in case of income tax, once you jump from a slab limit of 5% to 10%, automatically your tax are deducted. So there is no question of deliberation there, right? So certain actions are automatic, which are by default, it is there. Certain actions are deliberately done, knowingly done, in order to achieve intended growth, employment, income inequality, stabilization. So that is what is the objective, again, with dealing with fiscal issues. So when we are talking about the various tools of fiscal policy, again, government tries to manage the economy, to tame business cycle. So the major concern of coming off with any policy is in accordance to what kind of business cycle you are dealing with. Remember your business cycle? So wherever you are positioned at, either you are positioned here, or you are positioned at here, or you are positioned at here, or you are positioned at this place. So wherever the economy is positioned at, going by the business cycle only, you will devise your policy. That is what is the essentiality of dealing with monetary and fiscal policy, right? So whatever is your problem, if you are trying to tame recession, your policy measures has to be drafted in accordance to cure recession. If you are at inflation, your policy measures should be targeted to tame inflation. So that is why whatever policy, either it is monetary policy or it is fiscal policy, both of them try to come up with certain mechanism which will be in accordance to the business cycle. This is alternatively called as trade cycle too. Either you call it as business cycle or you call it as trade cycle. Name is same. So while delineating with the fiscal policy, there is involvement of trade-off, and this is either in recessionary actions, what is the requirement? and during inflationary actions, what is the requirement? According to that, you are making a trade-off. So that is why fiscal policy is just a trade-off in sync with the condition of the economy and devising of those instruments. Of course, the objective is, already I have stated, to achieve full employment. Full employment does not mean 100% employment. No. Full employment means whatever resources are available in your economy, that has to be utilized in the best possible manner. Right? For in a US like economy, they consider 95% as the full employment, because the natural rate of unemployment, NRAU, is 5%. In US, as per statistic record, they are considered 5% is the minimum natural rate of unemployment. So the full employment level is 95%. Right? Similarly, every economy has devised that what will be the rate of unemployment depending upon the natural rate of unemployment. Okay. You aim at devising price level, growth, BOP. Again, BOP in detail, you will learn about this in the next semester if you are going through IFM course. For the time being, BOP is nothing but it is the difference between what? The trade actions which are putting into debit and credit side. Accounting may be padhe hoge. Debit and credit side, balance of payments, how it is recorded. The difference between that is the balance of payments. And of course, to promote economic development, particularly in the developing or the underdeveloped countries. So that is what is the essentiality of having FISC. And this graph pie chart very essentially further explains FISC in a detailed way. That is where the rupee comes from and where does it go to. Right? So when you are talking about the sources of coming, they are your taxes, custom duties, income tax, corporate tax, borrowings, non-debt capital receipts, non-tax revenue, services, other tax, excise duties. So these are the sources which are coming from where the money is coming to the economy. Similarly, where the money is going for paying of taxes on the interest tax. On the plan of assistance, you provide certain assistance to the states, to your own states. Suppose some states are having emergency and they ask for help. So you are providing them assistance. And that was not planned during your fiscal time period. So there can be certain unplanned expenditures. Planned expenses, central plan, interest payment for debt, defense may, subsidies, non-planned expenditure. So all these things are the expenditures which are going out. So whenever you will find a difference between these two, where the money is coming from and where it is going, what you will find? You'll find a gap. The higher is the gap, the higher is the deficit. The lower is the gap, the lower is the deficit. But you will find that there is a gap. There is always a deficit in case of our. It is very difficult to attain surplus, but it is very easy to attain deficit. Why it is easy? Because your this side, that is where the rupee goes, this side always has a tendency to increase. You cannot control this side. Either it is at individual level or at country level. What is the difference between an individual and a country, do you know? As far as expenses are concerned, I'm talking about all the individuals, not a single one. In general, what is the difference between an individual thinking of an expenditure and the government? Class. Hello. Yes, Bhaskar. Yeah. Sorry, what was saying? I was called. Bhaskar. Some noise. वो तो common है. Government expenditure is for all, individual expenses for their own. But apart from that, what is the essential difference? When you look into the perspective of fisc or treasury, an individual always tries to spend looking into that whatever is his income is, isn't it? I'm not talking about exceptions. Exceptions hai who spend more than that their income is. But if you look into overall general population, they spend looking into whatever their income is, right? But the government never does that. Government pehle he will spend, then he will look into the sources of income. That is the reason. Government behavior is the government, first of all, they will spend, then they will look into the sources of income. Then they will look into where the money can be arranged. Because spending, it is for the overall development for an economy. Government case mein always it is amdani athanni kharcha rupaya. For individual case, it might be holding true, but not always. But always it happens for the government case. That is what is the basic difference between a government and an individual. Okay? Because when the government looks into the developmental role of every economy, it has to first see that every sector are getting money. It cannot forego few sectors. So that is the reason sometimes it has to adapt to its policy changes, which can be neutral in the sense that where it tries to get a balance. At certain times, it can resort to an expansionary policy. We have already learned about expansionary monetary policy. Similarly, there is expansionary fiscal policy. So what is this expansionary fiscal policy? Through this, you are trying to increase government spending and reduce tax. Because what is the objective behind this? During the past 2 years of COVID, what did you notice in the behavior of the government? Government expenditure, it has increased.
It has gone up and tax collection has gone down relatively.
Tax, it has reduced. Why it has reduced? Because people, they want people to spend more. They want to entail more purchasing power into the hands of people. इसलिए last 2 budgets से you might have noticed that the tax slabs has remained unchanged. अगर normal time period होता ना, कब से tax slab फिर बढ़ जाता. Yes, that is what happens. You make changes in according to what kind of economic scenario it goes through. Once the economy normalizes now, suddenly you will see the tax bracket will jump. It will change. So that is what is an expansionary position. And when does government will go for this position? When will government try to go for an expansionary policy? During
Recession.
Recession.
When your economy is slowing down. During deflation or recession. They will try to go for an expansionary policy. Just the opposite is contractionary. So what is contractionary? They will try to contract money from the economy. How? How?
Increasing taxes
through reducing government expenditure and increasing tax. अगर मैं tax rate बढ़ा दूंगी, तो what will happen? Your disposable income will go down, na? If I increase the tax rates and now tax, nobody can, it is really difficult to evade tax because everything is clear. After Aadhaar link has been done, everything is clear. Really difficult to evade tax. So tax will be increased. When tax rate increases, disposable income go down. when disposable income will go down, my spending will be restricted, na? पहले जितना spend करती थी, अभी उतना कर पाऊंगी क्या? I cannot. So that is how contractionary, through this you are trying to take out money from the system. I'm not talking about essential consumptions. As in your microeconomics, you have learned that howsoever your basic consumption, howsoever is a price increase, basic consumption are inelastic. Yes or no? So what you are trying to do? Are you not trying to adjust your non-basic, non-essential consumptions? So that is how we prioritize our level of consumption. Because you know that essential consumption cannot be foregone. Even if price increases, even if your tax rates increases. That is normal human tendency of spending. So that is how government can work in principle by exercising either a contractionary or an expansionary policy. Okay, now just let us play one small game with the worksheet. The worksheet I was showing yesterday. Can we divide into teams and solve this? I'm sending you to different breakout rooms. This worksheet I'm sharing in Google Classroom now. Okay. So the rule of the game is the teams are being divided and you have to decide. You have to decide that as a policy maker, there has been certain situations which has been enlisted below. You can use expansionary fiscal policy, contractionary fiscal policy, moral suasion, or do nothing. These are 4 options, 4 tools available with you. You are the prime minister or you have the power of the government and you need to use your fiscal power to assist your economy. Okay, so that is what the situation is. Now, you can use expansionary policy to grow your economy, create more jobs, lower tax, increase expenditure. Or if you use contractionary fiscal policy, what you are trying to do? You are trying to slow down economy, fight inflation, prevent the economy from overheating and collapsing. If you are using moral persuasion as a tool, then you can go on television, you can go on media, you can go on social media and encourage people either to save more or spend less or invest. Okay. That is what is moral persuasion. Doing nothing. Doing nothing is a situation in which you feel that, okay, let the economy heal on its own. It requires time. So you think that it may be a short-term issue and do not require any kind of active involvement. So you do nothing. You just sit down and keep watching. So these are the 4 instruments with you. Now let us start the game. I have given you 16 situations, right? Now I'm going to upload this in Google Classroom. Keep a watch on that. All these 15 situations dividing you into breakout rooms. It's 12:05. Max by 12:15, you should be able to complete. 45 are here now. 6.
44.
Sorry, 44. So there are 6 members. In some members, there are 5. Okay, before that, before opening the breakout room, let me share the. All of you understood the rule? Very simple rule.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm?
And do we have to submit it or interact in the
No,
class?
after that you will come back to the original room. Okay, we'll come back to the original room and give your decision, your collective decision as a
Okay,
group.
ma'am.
That is what is the worksheet is all about. So I have posted it in the classroom. Now the rooms are open. All the members, you can join the group.